Right then, Solomon, many thanks. I'm sure we'll return to you in the course of the day, find out exactly what the temperature of Wale Wale is like. Solomon tells us that it's all calm there. But let's hear from the third vice chair of the NPP, Alhaji Masaud Osman, who was the chair of the elections committee, who spoke to us yesterday, expressing disappointment at the fact that the Electoral Commission was forced to annul the outcome of the elections.
It started around 10. And voting was smoothly. There was no any chaos, there was no any problem until when sorting is being done. Sorting was going on. Sorting was ended, as the EC said, and somebody just came to start it. But for now, we as a party, we are not in charge of the election. The EC are conducting and supervising the election. From the EC mouth, as he said to you, that because of the destruction of the papers, they couldn't find the papers, the ballot papers were not in, it was adequate. Some of them are torn. So it was very difficult for them to count it so that to know how number of vote Mr. A got and how number of vote Mr. B got. So in that case, it was an annual election for the EC. So they have annulled the EC, have annulled the election and give it to the party.
That's Alhaji Masaud Osman, third vice chair of the NPP and also the elections committee chair for that Wale Wale NPP rerun. Let's speak to the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Mohammed, who's thankfully joined us on the phone this afternoon. Ms. Haruna, I appreciate that you could speak to us. Does it come to the party as a concern, the difficulty in being able to proceed with selecting a candidate for the Wale Wale constituency, the home constituency of your flag bearer? Many say that it puts into disrepute his leadership qualities, the fact that there's a fight ongoing in his backyard and he's not been able to deal with it.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I don't think that this is a question of the leadership qualities of His Excellency the Vice President and the flag bearer. He is not the chairman of the elections committee. He is not the police that were there. He is also not the electoral commission. So he had no hand in the supervision of the elections in Wale Wale. So to question his leadership in terms of a path of democracy will be something that will be very unfair to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Right.
We can only question the outcome of this election without necessarily tagging his leadership qualities as in this particular case, because he did not supervise any of them. So it was not under his leadership that through a democratic process, which has the pinch at some point in time as reported by the elections committee chairman. But
there is some level of concern on the part of the party, the fact that for the second time you've not been able to elect a parliamentary candidate, and there's a deadline for filing of nominations this Friday.
Yes, it is very unfortunate, but remember that this is being done a democratic process, and through the same democratic process, we have not been able to come to a conclusion on some of these particular selections. So it is good that it did not just happen because somebody is bulldozing its way, but we are going through a democratic process which has failed in these particular instances through the laws, because the other one finished, we went to court. Court has so declared. The party issued a statement on the conduct of the elections. They went back through the same democratic process, and some skirmishes or issues came out from it, and we are where we are. So it shows how the NPP is so much focused on using democratic process to get people being selected to represent the new patriotic party in any election at all.
Is a party minded of the possibility that, yes, these democratic processes you're allowing to proceed could result in you failing to elect a candidate within the Electoral Commission's specified time frame?
Yes, the party is minded. For that one, the party is very minded. And the timeline that is available to us is something that we are also very mindful of. So all these factors are being taken into consideration. And I believe that the party will take a decision on some of these matters. The party is calling for an emergency NEC meeting, and this will be done as soon as possible. Elections or selection of parliamentary candidates as enshrined in the party's constitution, the body that has the mandate to conclude on some of these matters is the National Executive Committee. So the National Executive Committee will set the report from the Elections Committee, the report from the police, the report from the Electoral Commission will be released before the National Executive Committee, which will so decide on the Wale. But we are very mindful that 13th is the deadline for filing of parliamentary and presidential candidates.
And these meetings you speak of, the National Executive Committee meeting, when is it expected to happen? We know the party has a press conference a lot later this afternoon. Are matters in relation to Wale expected to be on the front burner perhaps later this afternoon?
I can't determine so. I don't know the matters that is going to be put in the press conference. What I do know is that the party has a press conference. Decisions of parliamentary matters are determined by NEC, and I assure you that NEC will sit somewhere tomorrow, and NEC will take certain decisions or discuss them in the report that will come from NEC.
Would you be seeking a special dispensation from the Electoral Commission, considering NEC will be sitting tomorrow, or you expect that when NEC sits tomorrow, a final determination can be made and a candidate selected to which you can meet that deadline?
I can't preempt what NEC or the decision NEC will take. What I do know is that the constitution of the party is very clear. We are a liberal conservative party, and we are mindful that we are a national party. We love competition, we love the rule of law. And I think that NEC will make a way and take a decision on these matters. NEC is cloned with that power, and NEC will use that power.
Ms. Mawuena, I appreciate that you could speak to us. We'll leave it here and we'll return to you as and when there are new developments. That's Haruna Mohammed. He's the Deputy General Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party, speaking to us in relation to the stalemate in the Wale constituency, but it will use that as a medium to take you around the country and assess the filing of parliamentary candidates. Judith?
Indeed, we're taking you across the country as parliamentary candidates seeking to represent their respective constituencies in Parliament have begun filing their nominations following the opening of filing of nominations by the Electoral Commission. Some are seeking to be retained, others want a return, and some are also seeking to be given the opportunity for the first time. Let's go now to a northern part of the country and engage my colleague Christopher Amwako, who has been following the process right there in the northern region. Christopher, many thanks for your time. Now, tell us how the filing process is going and where you are.
Yes, so the filing processes began yesterday, and a lot of the parliamentary candidates for the various political parties, including independent parliamentary candidates, yesterday began filing their nominations to the Electoral Commission. I can say that as of now, over 50% of the parliamentary candidates, political parties' parliamentary candidates have since filed their nominations, and others are continuing to do so between today till Friday. And the atmosphere has been peaceful because a lot of the political party supporters have been cheering their parliamentary candidates up and accompanying them to the various Electoral Commission offices for them to file their nominations.
Right, let's take a listen to some of them there.
Where I've been is that they've had several MPs, but they've never had an MP like me who is always with them, always in the constituency. I'm with them at social events. When they are bereaved, I'm bereaved. When they have babies, I'm happy. When we are wedding together. I'm always with them all the time. And so the love has been organic.
We have any member who is aggrieved. We have demonstrated it. My competitor or the person who went to the race with you, we are all here. Salaga, everybody has noticed that we need unity to take our seat back and continue where we ended. The developmental process we began. It was truncated, but it's not easy. We can do it. And
it's possible. The people of Mawuena Egbeta have served the NDC on this ticket for over 32 years. And it's about time that we change the story in this our constituency. And I present myself today here officially as a person to rescue this constituency from the hands of the opposition, NDC. And I come here in the midst of confusion, in the midst of disappointments, in the midst of depression, in the midst of anger, in the midst of underdevelopment. We want to change and turn around this story for our people.
Well, you heard there some of the parliamentary candidates in the northern region filing their nomination forms. They have been speaking as well on the nominations that they have filed and their readiness for the elections come December 7, 2024. Thank you so much for your time. Christopher Amwako has been giving us details from the northern region there. We're staying right here on your election command center, and the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Barbing, is asking stakeholders in the election to help restore trust in the Electoral Commission. The comment comes as the EC battles with its credibility ahead of this year's general elections. The opposition NDC and some CSOs have criticized how the EC has handled critical issues like the missing BVDs, wrongful voter transfer, among others. In an exclusive interview with Beatrice Edu, Alban Barbing said everyone must help restore confidence in the EC.
To gain back the trust and credibility of the Electoral Commission and the process cannot be done by the Electoral Commission. It has to be done by all the stakeholders together. And after the lecture in Tamale, the next event will be a roundtable discussion where we'll bring more of the stakeholders to Jojo, think together and work together. Don't forget, the Electoral Commission during the course of election comes in with a lot of casual employees. And most of these casual employees are ordinary citizens from various careers or professions that come to support the Electoral Commission. So the Electoral Commission mostly is not in a position to manage these huge numbers. And so it depends on our own value system. It depends on our own commitment to the democratic ideals and particularly the patriotic spirit in us to die for Mother Ghana. That determines our conduct and behavior during the elections.
Has the EC conducted itself well ahead of this year's general election?
So far, the EC has been prevented from being seen as an impartial arbiter.
Prevented by who?
You could see the background of some of the employees and the statements that they have made. It doesn't place them in the position that this is going to be an unbiased referee. And that has affected the credibility of the Electoral Commission. Some of the directors have made clear statements about some of the political parties, trying to pitch the commission against those political parties and painting those political parties in such a way that they are the problem in the country and not any other person. That should not come from the mouth of somebody working in the Electoral Commission. But that is what we have now. And all calls to the powers that be, particularly government, to take action, because those were appointees by government, has fallen on deaf ears.
You heard there the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Barbing. And that's all we have for you as regards elections right here on your Election Command Center.
Away from election-related matters to matters of mental health, and today, September 10, 2024, marks International World Mental Health Day. The day is set aside to raise awareness on mental health issues around the world and to mobilize efforts in support of mental health. In the first half of this year, Ghana recorded a total attempt of 543 suicides and 81 completed suicides through various district health information management systems across the country. This represents an alarming increase compared to the 594 attempts and 48 completed suicide recorded for the entirety of the year 2023. The surge is particularly concerning, with many of the affected in the catchment area of young people 15 to 29 years. The Greater Accra, Eastern and Central regions recorded the highest number of suicide attempts for the first half of the year, with the most completed suicides occurring in the Greater Accra region. As the world marks today, the theme has centered largely on changing the narratives and calling to action individuals to help end the activities of suicide. Joining us on the phone lines right now is the Deputy Director of Health Promotion at the Mental Health Authority, Dr. Yamankwatha. Doctor, thank you for speaking to us. Concerning and alarming the fact that we're almost doing the numbers with the half year of 2024 as compared to 2023. What are the factors contributing to this alarming increase?
A very good afternoon to your viewers and listeners. Thank you for the question. What is contributing to this alarming rate in the increase? Well, we could say that it's a lack of knowledge about it. Lack of knowledge about it. People do not even know where to seek for help. We are saying that the theme for this year is changing the narrative. Changing the narrative means that you need to do something different. One, talking about it. Two, setting up policies to direct us on what to do. Three, knowing the places where we can support ourselves. And four, individually, what we can learn to help ourselves and our colleagues. So yes, you're asking what has contributed to the increase. We have not done any study to find out what has contributed to that increase yet, but I can tell you that it's because people have gone through problems that they thought that the only way they could deal with the problem was dying by suicide, and we are saying that loss of one life is even too much for us, and for that matter, we need to do something as a people to change the situation, and there's lots that we can do.
There's been a lot of talk about changing policy, changing the narrative. You say persons are not aware of the possible helplines which could also be contributing to the increase in numbers.
Pardon me again, your question, please.
I'm asking that you're suggesting that outside of the challenges persons are going through, their lack of knowledge on where they can go to seek help is also contributing to the rise in numbers.
Yes, that is true, including stigma. Because look, if somebody tells you that I want to die by suicide, I want to kill myself, what is your response? Some people said, oh, well, you are too weak. Why do you want to kill yourself? But, you know, we say stigmatizing terms to these people, but at that point, what we are saying that person is going through a major problem, a mental health issue, that person needs help. So at that point, you need to be empathetic and non-judgmental in your comments to this person to support that person to seek for help.
And so what can be done to improve the numbers going forward? Over 500 for the first half. What's the plan, the target to ensure that we reduce it by the end of the year?
Thank you very much for your question. So the plan is, the suggestion is, the advices. We are all in different groups. We are workers in an organization. We are a group in a church. All of us need to be talking about mental health and suicide. Research has told us that every suicidal issue is underlined by mental health problems. So it's about time that all organizations should have a policy in place about mental health to guide them, should have continuous mental health promotion activities, should be able to create an environment that is mentally health friendly. People will be able to talk about it freely without any stigmatization. These are very simple ways that we could help ourselves.
And lastly, based on the work that you do at the Mental Health Authority, how much of the financial challenges is impeding the work that you should be able to do, which you're not able to do?
Well, the financial challenge has been there, but we are doing our best under the circumstances. And we are changing the narrative into the public space that the job is not only at Mental Health Authority's doorstep, it is all of us. Like I did say just a moment ago, organizations to invest in the mental health of their workers, because investing in the mental health of their workers has been found to be profitable, because they didn't spend so much time in the hospitals and all that. So the organization takes a step to create an environment that is mentally friendly. That is the first step. Schools should talk about it, because look, the adolescent is the stage which they are very much prone to mental health issues. So schools should be talking about it. Churches should be talking about it. So yes, we all need to do something about it. And taking care of our personal self is also important.
I appreciate
changing the narrative from stigmatization against talking about it to now open conversation about suicide.
Doc, I appreciate that you could speak to us. That's Dr. Yawamankwa Arthur. He is a Deputy Director, Health Promotion at the Mental Health Authority, speaking to us this afternoon on suicide. And as always, you should seek help when the thoughts begin to emerge. It will take us on to our very first break this afternoon here on News Central. When we return, the eerie silence of the President during his speech yesterday at the ongoing Ghana Bar Conference raises eyebrows. UTAG, meanwhile, says they will mobilize labor unions to demand action. We have all of that and more for you. Please do stay.
Welcome back. You're still watching News Central. Now, the Public Services Workers Union is to meet the management of GBC on the arrears to be paid to the technicians who worked on the 13th African Games. Now, at a news conference, General Secretary of the Public Services Workers Union says it will not back down until the workers who worked on the project are paid. Daniel Opoku, our Labour correspondent, has been following up on the story and joins us live in studio with more. Daniel, what else has the General Secretary been saying?
Right, so these are the other issues where the General Secretary has been talking about. Already the local union tabled some issues before the National Secretary. Right. And some of the issues include the lands of GBC, which have been encroached upon, and also two major cardinals that the GBC workers want the leadership to deal with. One has to do with the payment of all those who participated in the All African Games, and also calling for the dismissal some way in the sort of the director. Basically, these are the concerns that we're asking for. And their national leadership, led by Bernard J, who is the General Secretary, actually went into a meeting with the management of GBC. And right after coming out from the meeting was when he engaged the workers. We can take a listen to what he has been telling the workers and how the workers also have been reacting to the issues that he told them.
All right, absolutely.
On your workplaces, that is the fact that you don't have equipment, people sleeping in the offices, allowances and things that are not being paid. And what I'm saying is, per this action we have decided to take, the DG has committed to us that we should agree on a day for a meeting for the issues to be addressed for us. My brothers and sisters, if even you are not being listened to and you have decided to take this action, and now the person is saying that, come, I am ready to listen to you. It shows that, yes, because you have power, it is now that we have come together and demonstrated that we are united.
You heard the General Secretary of PSW, but we know that the GBC Workers Union has been reacting. What exactly?
Rightly so, and they were not too happy with what the General Secretary told them after coming out of the meeting with the director. They believe that the leadership somehow has been compromised, and they are calling the leadership to go back and see how those monies could be paid to them. We can even take a listen to the divisional chairman, Sam Nat, with how the workers reacted to what the leadership and development have been saying.
Okay. You were told there was no contract by our management. They were told no money was paid. They started with 50 cities negotiation. Then, under the tree here, we met the management team. They came back to say 70 cities. Yes, but yes, we feel it most. So don't sing these dancing songs to all of you. I am presenting the disagreements, agreeing with management on behalf of the workers. Thank you. Thank you. Why? Because if you give 100 cities for food, that is what they give. They say for food. Out of 77 production team, technician and production team.
Well, many thanks for your time, Daniel. Of course, Daniel Opoku is Labour correspondent. He has been bringing us details regarding the impasse between the GBC Workers Union as well as PSWU. Of course, we have more stories for you right here on News Central.
Rightly so, Judith. An eerie silence. That's the verdict of environmentalists and their related watch groups to President Akufo-Addo's speech yesterday at the Ghana Bar Association. The man who put his presidency on the line said everything that mattered to him, but the one thing which mattered to many Ghanaians, Galamsey. For his near one-hour address, the president failed to touch on the critical subject which has dominated social and traditional media over the last 2 weeks. The closest thing to what many had expected to hear was the Attorney General Godfrey Dami's update on prosecutions. This is despite growing calls for a ban on all small-scale mining activities and for the president to declare a state of emergency. We'll get into the government's response shortly, but the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II has meanwhile questioned government's inaction, which has allowed individuals and groups to destroy the country with impunity. He spoke during a dinner celebration as part of the ongoing bar conference.
Galamsey is an environmental enemy for the nation. What could be more serious for any people than to have the entire water supply system at risk? I think as lawyers you should find space during this conference to set up a panel to undertake a quick tour of the communities where this scourge is most prevalent, to see the extent of the crisis we face and hopefully deliberate on how the law should respond. As I see it, if an individual poisons the water supply of a community, he will be liable for severe consequences under the law. What does the law do when one pours mercury into the same water supply, knowing fully well it can kill? This issue now requires the collective effort of all sections of society. To do nothing is no longer an option. The Bar Association, the Medical Association, and the universities, in particular my university, should get together and carve a new path to deal with this emergency. Yesterday, whilst I was driving from Cape Coast, in fact, going to Cape Coast, I stopped over at the River Pra, and it was, I'm afraid I have to tell you that what I saw, the river, it was so embarrassing, and then if as a nation we live for this to happen.
That's the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II, and his comment follows what has been sustained pressure from the Labour Front for decisive action to end the menace, with the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, the latest group to do so. You heard the Otumfuo mention, amongst many others, other groups who've joined in the conversation demanding an outright ban on all kinds of small-scale mining, or the government possibly risking a strike after September 30, particularly on the front of UTAG. Let's speak to the University of Ghana chapter president of UTAG, Professor Ransford Jampo, who's joined us via the phones this afternoon for a quick chat. Prof, I appreciate that you could speak to us. The president yesterday, he had a chance to address the subject matter of illegal mining, something he put his presidency on the line to deal with. Yet, after a near 1 hour speech and having touched on important matters to him, he did not mention anything at all in relation to Galamsey. How did this come to you? Surprise or one that you were expecting?
Well, the presidency put the President of the Republic put his presidency on the line and quickly went to take it back, simply because of the outcome of the 2020 elections, where people who are doing some of these illegal mining decided to vote against his party. And so I think that's how I believe but the point must be that Galamsey is an existential threat to humanity.
Right.
And so it is not about votes that one is. What do you need votes for? You need votes to come and govern a people. So what will be the essence and relevance of votes and political power if the people you seek to govern are sick, and so they are not well and they cannot be productive? Productivity goes down, and so you are unable to raise taxes to govern. You govern human beings. You don't govern human beings who are sick and are dying.
Right.
And so this whole bit about we are going to improve macroeconomic indicators, we are going to construct roads, we are going to do X, Y, Z, are all, in my view, a show of our inability to grasp what must be prioritized. Okay, you govern over a people, and without a people, governance is meaningless.
But so should we? Right, Prof, should we have heard the president say something at least in relation to Galamsey, at least based on the conversations that we've been having, the entire country has been having over the last 2 weeks?
What do you say? Can you repeat that again?
I'm asking if the president should have said something in relation to Galamsey, because the bar president spoke directly to him.
As for this president, if he didn't say anything, I am not surprised. But to the extent that he, like I told you, he put his presidency on the line and quickly went to grab it back. It shows a complete lack of seriousness, on the part, on his part, and then lack of political will to fight the menace, simply because these Galamseyers also provide some funding for the political party or for politicians. But I'm saying that this is not an issue we should even be having a national conversation about. This is a straightforward matter. Without water, no one has got the right to live. And so it's something that must be seen and be addressed. But unfortunately, in our part of the world, even if the problem is palpable and glaring at our face, you have to fight to get powers that be to address them. And sometimes, this one I'm telling people is becoming difficult to live in Ghana because of the caliber of people we have at the helm of affairs who are living. It is a straightforward matter. But if government doesn't want to listen, or government wants to be transparent, as you have read our statement, we would resort to every constitutional means to ensure that we get government to listen to us. When we're fighting government to stay off the tail of states, we heard some of them running their mouth. But when we decided to speak in the language that we better understand, they were forced to listen to us. We should not get there.
Right.
This is human life we are destroying. So if we have people where the assault at the helm of affairs parading themselves as the leaders of the country, they should do the needful.
Right then, Prof. I appreciate that you could speak to us. That's Professor Ransford Jampo. He is the president of the University of Ghana chapter of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, speaking to us this afternoon on what many have described as loud silence of the president on a pressing matter, as Galamsey during his speech yesterday at the ongoing Ghana Bar Association conference. And we'll stay with that conference, Judith.
Absolutely, and the Ghana Bar Association is demanding for the Conduct of Public Officers Bill to be passed into law. This, the association believes, will help in reducing corruption in the country. GBA has observed that, notwithstanding interventions initiated to curb corruption, the country keeps thriving. Now, the Public Officers Law will address issues like financial portfolios held by public officers before assuming public office, links to family business, improper enrichment, self-dealing, partiality in the performance of duties, sexual harassment, abuse of women, and the use of public or confidential information to further private interests. Now, let's get on Zoom and speak with Ibrahim Abubakar, who is my colleague. He's covering the 5-day bar conference. He joins us with more. Ibrahim, good afternoon. Now, how worried is the Ghana Bar Association about the little appetite to get this bill passed?
Well, exactly. They have spoken generally on corruption, and they said despite, like you mentioned, interventions from government, it appears corruption keeps thriving in the country. And this also affects development, because most of the monies that could have been channeled to other development projects are rather going into the pocket of some individuals or group of persons. And they want government to strengthen its resolve in fighting corruption. In fact, they said the Public Conduct of Public Officers Act is something they are looking up to. And last year, the president was at the bar conference, and he gave them that assurance that hopefully by this year, that bill will be passed into law, so that it will at least be able to, if not curb at all, at least reduce or minimize corrupt practices. And this is something they are looking up to him to be able to do before he leaves office. Yao Echampon Boafo is the president of the Ghana Bar Association.
Various and successive governments have implemented initiatives and policies and programs to deal with and curb corruption in Ghana. However, the current reality is that corruption is still a very big problem that hinders Ghana's development and its quest to consolidate constitutional rule. The revelations from the sittings of Public Accounts Committee of Parliament and the Auditor General's reports are not only staggering, but make a sad commentary on the state of corruption in Ghana. In the latest Global Corruption Perception Index report released by Transparency International on 30th January 2024, Ghana scored 43 out of a clean score of 100 and ranked 70th out of 180 countries and territories included in the Corruption Perception Index CPI. According to the said report, that marks the 4th consecutive year of stagnation in Ghana's anti-corruption efforts as indicated by the CPI. While the GB accepts that the attribution of Ghana's stagnation on the CPI to the deteriorating justice system, which it says is reducing the accountability of public officials and therefore allowing corruption to thrive, is contestable and may not be wholly accurate. And while the GBA acknowledges the works and efforts of state institutions such as the judiciary, the Office of the Attorney General, the Office of the Special Prosecutor in charge to deal with corruption and corruption-related matters.
You heard the president of GBA, but Ibrahim is still on the line with us. Ibrahim, what was the response of the president on this matter?
Well, Judy, the president seems not to agree with GBA's position on corruption being thrived on. And in fact, he said his government has taken strong systemic steps to combat corruption. And if you look at the budgetary allocation of institutions mandated to fight corruption, that have been enhanced. And also, he has given them assurance that the conduct of public officers, though, is likely to be passed into law before he leaves office, because it's currently at the cabinet level, and it will soon be moved to parliament for that to be done. But in all, he has attributed all these corruption tasks as politically motivated. Let's listen to President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Aware that there's a deliberate, politically motivated effort to stigmatize my government, my family, and myself as corrupt. I suspect, as payback for the damaging allegations of corruption leveled against members of the erstwhile Mahama administration, some of which have led to criminal convictions, and others are still being prosecuted in court. In spite of scrutiny by credible public institutions of virtually all these allegations of misconduct on the part of my government, my family, and myself, which have been found to be baseless, the leader of the opposition, the perennial NDC presidential candidate, continues to describe me as a clearing agent.
You heard the President Akufo-Addo at the Ghana Bar Conference. Many thanks for your time. Ibrahim Abubakar has been bringing us details, of course, from that annual conference happening right there in Kumasi. We'll go for a short break. When we're back, Ghana remembers.
Today on Ghana Remembers, we look back at President Akufo-Addo's promise to the Ghanaian people to end the destruction of the country's lands and water bodies through galamsey.
Forest areas which we should preserve for the sanctity of our life and our environment being devastated by this phenomenon of galamsey. And all kinds of people from all aspects of our national life are involved in this exercise. Security personnel, political leaders, businessmen, and dare say it, nananum, some are all involved in this. I've said it in the cabinet, and perhaps it's the first time I'll be saying it in public. I am prepared to put my presidency on the line on this matter. My own personal commitment to banishing the specter of galamsey remains resolute and immutable. I expect the Small-Scale Miners Association, from the national to the community level, to help in self-regulation of activities of their miners, and also ensure that no one engages in illegal activities, especially mining in our water body.
But barely 3 months to the end of his term, and what has been a lackluster response from government to recent concerns over the activities of illegal mining, one wonders where the Akufo-Addo of old is in the face of the current environmental challenges. That's it for Ghana Remembers. And the big question a lot of you have been asking on social media all throughout the week and the weekend, and that's what we brought to you on Ghana Remembers. Let's scan quickly. You want to say something?
Oh no, I'm just very much disappointed in how the galamsey issue has gone. I mean, over the years.
Well, still a lot for us to do to be able to save our environment. But let's scan quickly and join the 3 News WhatsApp channel. That's where you find all things news related. It's a big growing family, one where we subject you to opinion polls, you take polls, and then you're following the news from us on our news cards. Explainers, Judith with the explainers as always, and then links to 3news.com as well. The 3 News WhatsApp channel is where you find all things news related here from TV3. That's our bulletin for you today. I am Mawuena Egbeta.
And I am Judith Brown. Up next is The Afternoon Show.